The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we will be answering listener emails, and we have a question from Joyce, who lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And Joyce asks, so what is actually in the bill to reopen the government? I know a lot of people are saying that Democrats caved in as usual, but does the panel completely agree with this assessment? That's the questions. What is in the bill? Mark, I know you were looking into that.
I was. So
Yes.
Key provisions. They're going to be short-term funding extension. So most federal agencies will be funded through January 30th, 2026, which means that the operations will resume immediately. That's first and foremost. There are three agencies not yet publicly specified will receive full year funding through the end of the fiscal year. We don't know who those three are yet, at least not through my research earlier today. SNAP and food aid programs and other food programs will be restored and addressing delays that have impacted millions of Americans. Here's the one that's interesting. Federal worker back pay. The bill guarantees back pay for furloughed federal employees. Now, this does not mean those employees that have already been let go, that have left their job, a point that had previously been uncertain under the Trump administration. So, again, if you were furloughed and you were working and you weren't receiving pay, you'll get back pay. What this means for those people that basically were separated means nothing. Now, they're framing this that these people, that there will be no loss in jobs. There's already been losses of jobs, and they're not saying where they're going to be calling those jobs back. Although I did see a report that Trump did say that they're having trouble finding qualified people to fill many of the positions that have been let go. And as far as healthcare concessions, that was rejected. So this will not get any. If your ACA payment goes up, oh well, get over it, because nobody's going to address that. So, and that was the thing that basically they caved in. And supposedly Trump has signaled that he will sign the bill immediately once it passes the House, and that vote is expected to be taken tonight. So we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah, and we are in agreement that the Democrats did cave, or the 7 Democrats and the 1 independent. We had discussed this earlier, that this was just a relinquishment of responsibility for nothing. I mean, and the funding, I thought this was short-term funding, and that we would have to do the whole thing, we the people or the government shut down. It would happen again in January.
Yeah.
And there has to, so that we're going to be going through this again, we the people of America. And does that include SNAP?
Actually,
as well?
No. To be honest with you, Brooklyn, we don't go through anything. Congress has to go through it. We just have to live with whatever they do. And yes, There will be 3 agencies that supposedly will be funded throughout the fiscal year.
Okay, but we don't know what those are.
I do not know what they are.
Actually, I do.
Scott does.
3 of them: agriculture, military construction, and the legislative branch get full year funding. Everybody else is going to be up for review in January 30th. So
agriculture is SNAP, apparently. That's the USDA. Of course, the military, that would include, I'm sure, no doubt, ICE. Well, they got full funding anyway. And of course, the legislature, that means Congress gets paid as they have been, whether they work or not. So we would not expect them to lose anything at any time.
Right. And it's not military, it's military construction, which is kind of interesting. But
military construction.
There was also this matter of THC. Apparently the federal definition of hemp would be rewritten, effectively banning the sale of hemp-derived gummies, drinks, vapes, and edibles 1 year from now. These products contain a measure of THC that is less than cannabis, but can provide a mile high. And it was part of a loophole in the 2018 Farm Bill that led hemp to being legal. And now they're going to make it illegal. So it's going to shut down all those little corner stores that offer vaping and stuff like that for people who don't live in a place where you can get actual cannabis products.
Uh-oh.
Or synthetic cannabinoids like Delta 8 THC.
Oh no.
So I mean, that's a big business, obviously, and I guess it's bothered some Republicans that people are enjoying themselves and getting high, or relaxing, or not dealing with so much stress and anxiety from having a little gummy every now and then. But they want to get rid of that, of course. And there's also a thing about a radar jet, the E-7 wedge-tail radar jet. After the Air Force, believe it or not, tried to kill the program, Congress wants to bring it back. So the Air Force said, we don't need this plane. And the lawmakers decided to add $400 million for the development and prototyping of the E-7. That has to have something to do with somebody's district getting a big government contract or something along those lines. I don't understand exactly what that's all about. Hegseth said that the plane was not survivable and recommended its cancellation, and the Air Force had basically written it all off, and somebody in Congress has decided that they need that government contract in their district, so it's back.
And usually that's what happens. In a lot of cases, it's those riders. They get them in there, and it usually is something like Scott said. It's for contracts. Somebody's got a plant that builds this, and they can go back to their district and say, "Hey, look what I did." Maybe in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, where she could go back and say, "Hey, that Hyundai plant, maybe we'll just build widgets." Who knows?
Yeah, or some congressman that Mike Johnson needed, right, for something that he wanted, and he said, "How about we throw some more money into your district that nobody else really needs?"
Correct.
That would kind of, like, I would almost think that Doge would say that that's waste, fraud, and abuse, but it's okay if they need it to be waste, fraud, and abuse. They get it.
You would think.
Yeah. Elections have consequences.
Elections have many consequences. There is no doubt about that. No doubt. So hopefully.
So that's what's in the bill. And the other, of course, I've got a train outside now. And so there's no silver lining whatsoever, really. We've got 7 cavers of Democrats and 1 independent, and no negotiating benefit, right? They've just
I mean, those 8 senators seem to feel that they can get this, shame the Republicans into doing something after the Republicans screwed them over from March until October with the same exact deal. They think that their behavior is going to change now. There's one born every minute, right? Sometimes they get elected to the U.S. Senate.
That is, yeah. It's amazing. It truly is.
And their justifications, we went through that in an earlier podcast. That just, to me, the justifications do not make any sense. They're not. They're not robust. They're very feeble. I mean, I'm sure they make sense maybe to someone somewhere, but they do not to me. They're more like excuses. And I can understand wanting to make sure that people have food before the holidays, but people have been struggling prior to this, and the longer term consequences are going to be devastating, and there's really not necessarily going to be an end to that, because Trump can do, as we were discussing earlier, Trump can do whatever he wants with the program. It says the SNAP benefits will restart immediately, but it doesn't say that full SNAP benefits will restart immediately, does it? Anywhere in that bill, Scott? It just says SNAP will start?
It'll start immediately.
But it doesn't say full SNAP.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of up to the Trump administration is what they want.
Says restored.
Restored. Okay, but yeah, restored at what level? Right, yeah. So yeah, it I just looking at the language from before where, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of all the criminals. Well, anybody who's in the United States, whether a person's visa has expired or whatever, if you're here without paperwork, or if you're here in the process of getting your citizenship and you don't have that final stamp yet, you're illegal. Even though you're going through the process legally, if it's not finished, you're still here illegally. But you can't, I mean, when I was going through my Canadian immigration process, part of that process was that I could not leave Canada. And until certain papers until certain parts of the process were completed. And so, I mean, there may be stipulations. I don't know what the immigration process to the United States look like, but there may be stipulations in that, in the process that says people cannot leave the United States until certain steps have been taken and certain paperwork completed. And I and others were thinking very naively that criminal meant someone who had committed assault with a deadly weapon, who had committed homicide, who was a danger to society, and that person would be sent home, repatriated, not sent to a third-party country, not sent to a gulag in another nation, and certainly not just rounded up willy-nilly, including American citizens, and it just disappeared the way ICE has been treating people. So, but that's a criminal according to the Trump people. So when they say restored here, that I don't have any confidence in what that word actually means because they're not defining it. Right? There's no definition anywhere.
Not that I can see.
Yeah, that's a problem. Well, again, we're left with having to wait and see what this supposedly entirely transparent administration is exactly talking about, because critical words are left undefined.
Right. And look, before the Democrats snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, Trump's reputation had gone to an all-time low. He's now below 40% approval rating. So, I guess that was working too well for Democrats. They wanted to do something about that to destroy it and bring him and try to find a way to bring him back above 40%. But look, there was a lot of time left for him to continue to say and do crazy things, and hopefully at some point or another the American people will catch on. I don't know what the delay is there exactly, because it seems very obvious to me that this guy is just out of his mind.
Yep.
Well, and by doing what they did, the Democrats with caving, making it very, very difficult, I think, in some cases for people to vote for the Democrats. But they certainly should not be voting for the Republicans who created the problem in the first place. And I think people need to remember that. And to me, for Trump to be in the 30s as his approval rating it's too high. I mean, he should be down in the teens somewhere, like the low teens. Yeah. I just don't understand why his approval rating is so high. Still.
Yeah, he's got a floor.
Yeah, well, it should be a much lower floor, like down below the bottom of the sewer system somewhere.
We can agree on that, but it's not happening.
No, I don't know if it will happen.
All right, so without meandering anymore, can we call it?
Absolutely. So yeah, I apologize again for meandering. I believe we answered your question, Joyce. Thank you for your question, and thank you to all our listeners for all your wonderful questions. We will be having
Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving, we will be having our Stephen
Ducat.
Thank you. We'll be having Dr. Stephen Ducat, who we had on in an earlier podcast. He will be returning on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. If you have questions directly for Stephen, do please start emailing them in, and he will be sending the questions that you have for him to him in advance, and he'll be happy to answer as many as he can. So thank you again for listening on the Nova Society. Subscribe on the platform of your choice if you have not already done so. Subscribing is free. Take care, and we'll see you again next time.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Journal of Interdisciplinary Conflict Science. The JCIS is an open journal for upcoming scholars. The JCIS is currently accepting article submissions on an ongoing basis. The JCIS is a publication of NovaWorks, a scholarly depository at Nova Southeastern University. A link to the journal is in our description.